fellow Fiji citizens, friends of the movement for democracy in Fiji, supporters of freedom, liberty, and the rule of law. Nisambula, namaste, and greetings to you all. I am delighted that so many of you have taken the time to attend this rally in support of returning democracy to Fiji. I would also like to thank you very much for your support of a noble cause, the fundamental rights and freedoms of every citizen in Fiji. There is nothing so precious in life and in countries as personal freedom, personal rights, personal liberty, and equality of justice before the law and the rule of law. A journalist once wrote, "Surrounded by a turquoise sea, lush emerald hills, and the tropical trade winds that blow across the island nation, induced the people of Fiji to say that the serenity of the country matches its beautiful scenery." It is with great regret and sadness in my heart that I have to tell you that serenity no longer exists in Fiji. The serenity was shattered by the military coup led by Bainimarama in December 2006, when the elected SDL government was removed at gunpoint. It has been torn apart for the past 5 years by a ruthless regime headed by the same Bainimarama. And with the convergence of positions by members of the international community on the situation in Fiji, the truth will no longer be a secret. Many of you have heard accounts of the brutal acts of repression in Fiji through your family and friends, but not the whole truth. The truth has been locked away and hidden from the public because the Fiji news media is muzzled and all news is censored on a daily basis. I, as a military officer then, obeying orders, participated in the December 2006 coup. I have come to regret it. I am no longer in the Fiji military forces, and I no longer live in Fiji for fear of my life. My mission, and as part of my penance, is to now enlighten the governments and people of the world of the truth of what is taking place in Fiji, and to seek your support to restore democracy and the rule of law back to Fiji. The Roman governor of Palestine centuries ago, Pontius Pilate, once asked, "What is truth?" I will now provide an answer to Pilate's question some 2,000 years later, but the truth as it applies to Fiji. The rule of law is the foundation of every country. It guarantees freedom, liberty, rights, equality before the law, and economic and social justice. It is the rule of law that guarantees your freedoms, rights, and economic and social justice here in Australia. Under the rule of law, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. It guarantees and protects the fundamental rights and freedoms of the individual. Australia has a constitution. If your rights as a citizen or permanent resident are infringed, you can take the matter to court. Fiji does not have a constitution. The ousted SDL party leader challenged the legality of the December 2006 military coup and the military regime that subsequently assumed power. The Fiji Court of Appeal, with a panel of eminent judges, ruled in 2009 that the military coup was illegal. The military regime was illegal and all acts by it are illegal. That decision still stands. Yes, the Fiji Court of Appeal ruling still stands. Hence my use of the term illegal regime. The regime is not a government, as it was not elected by the people of Fiji. The leader of the illegal regime and his co-conspirator, the illegal Attorney General Ayaz Qayyum, replied to the ruling of the Fiji Court of Appeal with contempt and disdain. And in 2009, they abrogated the 1997 Fiji Constitution. So the truth is that Fiji no longer has a constitution like here in Australia. Bainimarama and Kayum conspired to implement their own personal brand of law in Fiji, whereas here in Australia, laws are passed by a parliament elected by the people. Kayum dreams up laws which will strengthen the hold and power of the illegal regime over the people of Fiji. He influences Bainimarama to approve of them. Those illegal laws subsequently become the law of the land through decrees published in the Fiji Gazette. The truth is that the fundamental rights and freedoms of the citizens of Fiji, their families and friends who still live there, guaranteed and protected under the Constitution, have been taken away from them. The Constitution is no more, and the people's rights are no more. A fundamental right of every citizen is the right of free speech, the right to dissent. The truth is that their rights no longer exist. Citizens who speak out against the ruling regime's excesses and abuse of office are arrested by the military, not by the police, and taken to military camps, where they are beaten, kicked, and even tortured. And not only men, but women as well. And not only Fijians, but Indians and general voters as well. 2 persons died from these beatings. There was no official post-mortems. There were no coroner inquests. The police never investigated the incidents. The Commissioner of Police is a senior military officer. Only last week, the head of the Fiji Trade Union Congress, Mr. Felix Anthony, here with us, said in New Zealand that he was beaten by military personnel. The truth is that the fundamental right of freedom of association is what the illegal regime says it is. Last 2 weeks ago, a meeting of the Fiji Women's Rights Movement was stopped, shut down, and the executive director taken in for questioning. The truth is that the freedom of the press no longer exists in Fiji as it does here in Australia. The role of the news media is to keep citizens up to date with what is going on in the country, and holds the government and public officials to transparency and accountability. In Fiji, the illegal regime published a media decree under which television, radio, and the newspaper are muzzled. And what is more, all news must be censored before being broadcast or published by the Permanent Secretary of Information. As a result, citizens in Fiji have little idea of what is taking place, and the government and peoples of other countries are also in the dark. The truth is that the fundamental rights and freedoms of citizens are further raped by another illegal decree, the Public Emergency Regulations. The PER, as it is called, gives the illegal regime the right to do anything it wants to do. So people's freedom of movement suffers, their freedom of assembly suffers, and even their freedom to have an opinion and to express them has also been removed. Also, under the PER, a person can be picked up without due process, without a warrant, and not by the police, but by the military, and held without bail for 7 days. The truth is that Fiji has been stripped of democracy. As you all know, general elections in which the people vote for a government of their choice has been suspended. Elections are the quintessence of democracy. Subsequent to the December 2006 military coup, Bainimarama promised to hold elections in 2009. His promise was as hollow as his administration of the country. The term of office of a government in Fiji is 5 years. The illegal regime has ruled the country now for 5. It speaks of election in 2014. meaning it will remain in power for 8 years or nearly 2 terms of an elected government, but without being elected. A scenario for any future election in Fiji was displayed at the recent Lau Provincial Council meetings, in which the council had freely elected their chairman, but they were ordered and blackmailed a day later by our government officials to change their selection. This